Hello, today we will start a new topic, graph. What is graph? Graph is defined as a pictorial representation or the diagrammatic form of the collected data. What is the data or the values which you are collected? Suppose you are asking to have a survey on your favorite dishes and you have selected 5 dishes for asking the entire school what are their favorite dishes among these 5 dishes. Then you are going to make the counts and in the columns of each dish. But students, you are not having 35 students in your school. You are having more than 700 or 800 students in your branch. So how would you show the sum of that counts? For that, graph will help you to have the picture form of that counts. Second definition or the use of the graph is often represent the relationship between two and more quantities. Suppose you are observing a plant's growth in 5 days. You have two quantities here, the growth and the number of days. And what is the relation? As the days goes on, the growth of the plant will be increasing. Then axis of graph is another important thing you must learn about the graph. What are the axes? These are the two lines. There are two axes in each graph. One is the x-axis or the bottom or the horizontal line, in which you are representing the independent quantities like time, like the number of foods you have selected for the survey, or the number of colors for the favoritism, or the number of electorates in your school election, right? And the y-axis, it is the vertical line or the left hand side line on which is called the y-axis, on which the dependent quantities are shown. For example, the growth is depending on the number of days. The number of students like pizza the best is the dependent quantity. That do you have the pizza in your data? For example, the data regarding the growth in the determined time period in which the growth is dependent and the time period is independent. The relationship between the speed and R, again, R's are independent and speed is dependent. The relationship between the cost and the number of articles, the cost is independent. The cost is independent, and the number of articles you are buying with the same cost is independent. Another example for the line graph that shows the temperature in Hong Kong from January to August in this year, in which in this question we have the time period from January to August is independent and the temperature, because it varies, is dependent. So use the data for answering the question on the next slide. This is the graph in which this is x-axis and this is y-axis. On x-axis you are having the time period, and on the y-axis you are having the temperature in Celsius, which may vary in each one. For example, in January it is 20, February it is 25. Then in March is again 20. April 25. May 35. June 15. July you go up and you see it's 30. And then August you are having 10. So the questions are, the first question, what is the difference in the temperature between April and January? So in the April we will be having 25 and in the January we will be having 20. Whatever be the temperature is more than the other, the biggest temperature or biggest value will be written first. You will subtract and got 5 degrees. Then what is the average temperature over these 3 8 months? What is the average? It is the number which is closest or the number which is repeated. And what is the method to find out the average? Average score is equal to sum of all scores divided by number of scores. Sum of scores, the scores, our scores are the temperatures, as you can see on the numerator with the plus sign, because they are asking for the sum, divided by the number of months in which the temperature have been observed are 8. The total is 180 divided by 8. We got 22.5 is our temperature. The last question of this graph is which of these 8 months have temperature below the average. Average is 22.5 and the months which are having below the average is 20 of January, 20 of March, 15 of June and 10 of August. In the next graph, we are not having average, but we have something very important. Graph shows a racing car travel the distance covered in the 5 hours. In this, 5 hours are the independent quantity and it should be on x-axis, while the distance covered is an dependent quantity and it should be on y-axis. As you can see this, now the distance covered in kilometers, and then the time period is this. First question is, what does the straight line means? As you can see that in the previous slide, in the hour of third and fourth, we have the reading 80. On this, we are having the straight line. It's mean the car is at rest, whatever be the reason. How much the distance did it cover in the first hour? It's 40 kilometers. How long did it cover between second and the fourth hour? In the fourth hour, we have 80 kilometers, and in the second hour, we have 60 kilometers. The difference is 20 kilometers. What is the total distance it covers in 5 hours? 100 kilometers. You are going to find it out on the fifth hour. The last example that shows the scores of the opening batsman of any team in 5 matches. Can you see the matches are independent, because matches should be move on whatever be the performance of the opening batsman, and his score is on the y-axis. In the first match, he scored 45 because it comes between 40 and 45, so it comes in between, so it is 45. Then in the match 2, he has in between 50 and 60. The number in between 50 and 60 is 55, so in the match 2, he has 55. And in the match 3, he has between 70 and 80, so it should be 75. In the match 4, he has on the 80 runs. And in match 5, he has scored between 30 and 40, so it should be 35. The questions are, what is the average score of the opener? Average score is equal to sum of all scores divided by number of scores. Here we have put all the scores with the sum sign plus divided by 5. The sum of the all scores is 290 divided by 5 and we got 58 runs. In which match he scored more than average score? In the third and the fourth match. Why? Because average is 58 and the rest of the 3 matches score is less than 58. Thank you so much. Now you are moving toward your assignment.